I turn these boxes on the lathe, and they just consist of a top and a body with an integrated handle a lot of times. I've made this small one out of cherry with a little bit finer of a detail for the top. I started working on this walnut one, and I turned the base, but when I turned the base, I turned the tenon too big to fit on to my jaws. And I've turned some of the lid. What I'm going to try to do today is chuck this up in my cold jaws and bring up some tailstock support and finish it so that it's even with the body of it. Now the problem is it's not exactly running true on the lathe, and I'm not sure if it's the lid or the bottom that's off, but it's walnut wood, it looks beautiful, and we're going to try to save it so that it doesn't end up in the wood stove. I just want to take a second to show you what I've done to help aid me and get the right angle using the cold jaws on the work. So normally the standard tool rest over here is in between the tailstock and the headstock. What I've done is taken this adapter piece and put it on here with the tool rest here, and I've put the tool rest outside the tailstock so that I can get different angles in here and not have the tool rest piece, the big metal piece in here, possibly come in contact with the cold jaws as they're spinning. Alright, the first thing I'm going to try to do is bring this top down as close as I can to the base, and we'll see how much it wobbles. Hopefully it doesn't wobble too much. So I'm just going to very gently, you can see how much it's wobbling, unfortunately. I'm just going to very gently come in and try to correct this if I can. And there shouldn't be in danger of anything coming off the lathe because we've got the tailstock up. But you can see how much feedback, here's how much feedback I've got in the lathe. But we are nonetheless going to try to get this thing screwed up and saved. And I'm going to actually increase the speed just a touch. And we're just going to keep turning this thing out and see what happens. Like we're just about even. We're just about even. We're starting to take a little bit off of the base, which is fine because we want to true it up, and this is still sticking out. It's a little proud, so I'm going to come down a little bit more and just make sure that we're pretty close before we start sanding. And this may always look a little bit funny, but at least it won't be a waste of wood. So here we go. Okay, and we're pretty good all the way around. It is a little bit proud now on the base side, but I think some sandpaper will blend this all nicely together, and hopefully nobody will be any wiser. Alright, so let's get started sanding. I'm just finishing up with some 500 grit sandpaper on here. I've gone through the grits from 100 to 500, and it's looking pretty good. Feels pretty good. We'll stop the lathe there, and it's looking fine. So what I like to do for my finishes is I like to just take some beeswax. I turn up the speed of the lathe to put some beeswax on here, and then I take a cloth and I basically burnish it into there, or burn it into there. I get it nice and hot and and get it all done. The only part of our project here that didn't get as smooth as I'd like is this handle, and that was very much out of round. So that's just going to have to be an acceptable loss on this particular box. But other than that, it looks pretty good. We'll see when we get the finish on and we get it out of the coal jaws how exactly it looks. So let's put some wax on. I took the speed up to about 1500 now. I'll put plenty of beeswax on. It's a little difficult to get it in here, but we'll get it on here with the rag for sure. And this is a little bit hairy with the coal jaws because they can get caught on the rag pretty good, but we'll be careful here. And we're just going to polish that rag up. Put some pretty decent pressure on it to get that color of the walnut to come out. And we'll go around the knob and get the knob as best we can. You can see my fingers vibrating because how unfortunately out of round it is, but I'm having a little bit of trouble getting up close to the base of it. Let's see if we missed any spots. So that's not too bad. There's a little bit of some lines in there. Nice and smooth though. See if I can get a little bit further in with some wax and make those lines disappear. Alright, not too bad. Let's take it off and see how it looks off the lathe. Well, here we are. It's off the lathe, and it didn't come out too bad. Unfortunately, there's some marks from the coal jaw every so often that have kind of scuffed it up. There's not really anything I can do about that at this point in time. In hindsight, perhaps I should have put some tissue paper or some scraps of cloth or something there to soften the coal jaws, but then it would have possibly not gripped as well. So while we didn't have a fantastic project, it's still not ruined. It still doesn't need to go into the stove. Not something that would want to sell necessarily, but something that's just fine for in the shop or in the house. So there you have it, a bowl saved, walnut saved. Thanks for watching.